From the high-definition educational broadcast center at Bergen Community College's main campus in Paramus, this is Studio Bergen. Hi everyone, I'm Larry Levanka, and welcome to this month's episode of Studio Bergen, your connection to the state's largest community college. The lead topic this month is one that we cannot ignore: the continued onslaught by Mother Nature on our region and, in a very real way, Bergen Community College. Due to snow and ice storms, the college lost 4 instructional days in February, the 3rd, 5th, 13th, and 14th, bringing the total lost time for the semester to 5.5 days. The college also closed for a half day on January 21st and January 22nd. All instructional time lost can be made up by professors with 5 makeup days established at the end of the semester in May. We just have to hope that March does not come in like a lion, as the saying goes. Here's to lambs, I suppose. In other news, when it wasn't being interrupted by snow, February marked the college's annual Black History Month celebration. One of the featured guests, Nathaniel Briggs, a former president of the Bergen County NAACP and the son of the first signer of the lawsuit that became Brown versus the Board of Education, spoke February 20th. He discussed his life in pre-civil rights South Carolina.
The school board says we didn't pay enough taxes for them to buy a bus to take black kids to school. So black kids had to walk 5-6 miles to school. In some cases, the parents took them to school in a wagon. In some cases, where we live near town, not in town, kids came to stay with the family and relatives in town so they can go to school Mondays through Fridays. This was the existence of South Carolina back then.
Also during the month, Haitian-American abstract expressionist Sophia Domaville hosted a creative arts workshop for students, faculty, and staff, allowing them to freelance a collaborative art project. Meanwhile, Dr. Marcia Cantrella, an educator, author, and daughter of civil rights leader Whitney M. Young Jr., discussed her father's impact on creating jobs in corporate America by breaking through the glass ceiling between white executives and black workers.
Thanks to my father's efforts, the Harlem Y was able to launch its annual dinner honoring black executives. In 1973, I was one of the recipients of that honor for my work as a manager at Avon. Ultimately, I rose to be one of the youngest person at the director level at Avon before I moved on to the path that led me to academics. So the men, and they were not only all white, but all male, that my father worked with over the years, created new opportunities for black folks and also for women.
The month concluded with a presentation and recognition dinner for students led by former Bergen County legislator Dr. Arnold Brown, who discussed his date with history, a spot in the 3rd row behind Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. at the famous I Have a Dream speech. Also in recent news, a day truly years in the making, the college debuted a redesigned version of the school's official website, bergen.edu, last month. Among the chief improvements, the redesigned bergen.edu features a contemporary homepage design featuring drop-down menus, impactful graphics, an interactive calendar, news feed, and video feed of this program, a streamlined navigational scheme to organize content into relevant containers and to funnel all site visits into categories based on audience: current students, new students, faculty and staff, and community members, and the consolidation and elimination of many pages from the former Bergen.edu. More than 6,000 pages existed in 2012, approximately 1,500 reside on the new site. Bergen.edu will remain in constant motion. Content administrators have been tasked with editing and updating the site's information as necessary. Additionally, as the needs of the Bergen community evolve, the site will add new functionalities and upgrades. Possible integration with the conceptual Bergen app for mobile devices remains one of many future developments. Speaking of the college's use of technology, in this month's edition of Faculty Focus, we sat down with nursing professor Margaret Hayes, who helped mobilize nursing faculty in integrating video evaluations into coursework that resulted in recognition by the League of Innovation in the community college.
We always do validations. Any skill that the student nurses learn, whether it's hanging an IV or giving an injection or whatever it is, changing a dressing, they need to validate on it before they do it to an actual patient in the hospital. And we, of course, use this lab for validations. And the students, we give them a demonstration or they watch the video, whichever, and then they come in here and they practice on their own time. And then they have to validate, which means they have to do it for an instructor while an instructor watches.
Hayes had the unique idea of allowing students to videotape these validations that would be evaluated.
I didn't know how it was going to go over. I didn't even know how I was going to like it because I'd never done it before. It was just an idea that I had. And we got grant money to get the cameras. And that was maybe 3 years ago, I guess. And we started to do it. And I really was hoping it would work. It sounded like a good idea, but I didn't know if it would or not. And the other faculty, and there are quite a few of them, because in level 1, we have quite a few faculty who help with the validations and the labs and our clinical conference time and clinical in the hospital. So I presented it to them, and none of them were opposed to trying it, but some didn't really think it was going to work. And then I got a phone call one day from one of the instructors who really was unsure of it. You know, she said she'd try it, but she didn't really think much of it. She called up and said, "I love this. This is great." And it really is. I didn't get any negative comments from the faculty. They pretty much enjoyed it.
Hayes believes the new process has added a new element to the students' experience and learning.
I think the most important thing, it encourages the students to work together collaboratively. They get feedback from each other. They're not doing it in isolation. And they tend to practice together besides. And maybe they do it a little bit better than if they were just being watched by a faculty, even though that anxiety is completely gone, yet they hold themselves to a higher standard, because I have seen students watching videos and there'll be the tiniest little thing wrong with it. And they say, "Oh, I have to do it again." And they'll run off and do it again before they send it to you. So they're adult students, they're adult learners, and they do hold themselves to a high standard. They critique each other, and there's a learning experience with that too.
Even better, for students, it makes the process easier.
The students would be out in the hall waiting for their turn to come in, and the anxiety level was incredible. And sometimes they would have practiced and practiced, and they knew just what to do, and they'd be all thumbs when they came in, because it was just the idea of somebody watching them. So I thought, well, if they practiced and then filmed it, because some of the practices I'd been walking through when they were practicing, and some of them were phenomenally good. And I thought, well, if they filmed that and sent it to us, we could eliminate that anxiety. And the other thing is, if they're doing a skill for an instructor and they do one little thing wrong, the instructor might say, "Oh no, do it this way," and then continue. They don't necessarily have to do it again. But when the students are filming it, usually they watch the film before they send it in. And they will do it again and again until it is absolutely perfect, which is good because they're getting more practice.
Better trained future nurses will only prepare them for the challenges in healthcare that lay ahead.
I think they're going to have a lot more responsibility than they had before, because with cost-cutting measures, you know, there are fewer nurses and patients are sicker than they used to be. We have more outpatient, where patients who are not that critically ill can go home. So if they're working in a hospital, they're going to be responsible for a lot more, and a lot of them probably will have careers that will be outside the hospital. They'll be working in same-day surgery and dialysis centers and walk-in urgent cares and that kind of thing. They won't necessarily all be working in the hospital. When I graduated from Bergen 30-odd years ago, everybody went to work in the hospital. I don't think anybody went to work anywhere else. But now home care and all of the other things I mentioned are so prominent. So there's a lot of new avenues opened up for them too, which is nice.
With a new $26 million Health Professions Integrated Teaching Center on the way, innovation should remain a constant, according to Hayes, a 30-year veteran of the industry.
Well, I think one of the big advantages will be that it gets harder and harder over the years to get hospital placements, to take the students to the hospital at the times that you want to. And with the state-of-the-art resources that we'll have in the new building, we'll be able to do a lot in the laboratory that if we don't have hospital placements at that particular time, we'll be able to use the lab for it. And I think that will be a great benefit to students.
While Professor Hayes and her colleagues took home the Innovation of the Year award, the League of Innovation in the Community College also recognized another Bergen faculty member recently, Professor Rachel Wieland, who received the John and Sue Ann Rausch Excellence Award for her work with the college's student-comprised Green Team. She discussed her connection with the students on this program a few seasons ago.
Sustainable projects, it's very interesting because it's not like the students we're putting it on the students are asking us, like, what, we're here at Bergen, what can we do? And if you look at like the job monster boards or any of the job sites, in the past 30 days for 60,000 and higher, there's been a post of 1,300 jobs nationwide. So for sustainability projects, to me, it's three parts. It's that you're bringing the students' passion to the project, and then you're giving them an application, an opportunity, an experience to do something like build an electric car, put up solar panels, work our biodiesel machine, do the permaculture garden. So you're giving them the actual experience and the contacts with industry. And then the third part is that we get to work with them, we get to be their mentors, we get to support them. So that is really a recipe for success, in my opinion.
Projects have included improving the recycling of bottles, cans, and paper, composting cafeteria waste, and building and maintaining food gardens. Under the group's leadership, more than 10,000 pounds of paper is recycled each semester. Faculty also made news last month when they welcomed 36 fourth graders from the East Newark Public School for Technology Day at the college. Information technology professor Anita Verno and her peers helped give the students a taste of college life during the visit, teaching them about computer hardware and web development in hands-on lessons. The day not only reinforced work that began in the students' classroom during Computer Science Education Week last month, but also introduced the fourth graders to a college campus and offered computer access to the young community members with limited technology resources. Children were also the focus of the college's 12th annual Give Kids a Smile Day event, February 7th. Dental hygiene program students like Delcy Barara gave more than 36 children and parents a reason to grin with free oral exams, cleanings, and the occasional filling in the school's dental hygiene clinic. Bergen's dental hygiene program offers low-cost oral health care available to the community throughout the year. In other news, in the college's continued commitment to workforce development and career training, officials recently signed an agreement with Jersey Tractor Trailing, Inc. that will enable local residents to earn both a commercial driver's license and a general education diploma as part of the joint program offered by the organizations. The agreement, inked in January by Bergen President Dr. B.K. Walter and Jersey Tractor Trailer Training President Bill Oliver, was forged by the college's Division of Continuing Education and Assemblyman Gordon M. Johnson. The program features 6 weeks in classroom instruction that will prepare students for the state's CDL assessment and GED exam. Jersey Tractor Trailer will administrate all facets of the CDL curriculum, while the college will oversee the GED component. To discuss this unique program in a little bit more detail, I'd like to welcome Dean of Continuing Education, Christine Gillespie, to the show. Welcome, Chris.
Good morning. Thank you.
No problem. This is, it's pretty unique, this kind of program. What does it do for the community?
Well, the mission of the Division of Continuing Education, Corporate and Public Sector Training is to provide responsive, relevant, and affordable training programs for both the business community and also our community members at large.
And that's what this is.
And that's what this is. So when this opportunity presented itself, it really is a natural fit with what we do. Jersey Tractor Trailer provides the technical, or what we call subject matter expert training in CDL. And we at the college administer the general education diploma portion of that program. The beauty of it is that in 6 weeks you can achieve both credentials. So for someone who's unemployed and potentially, looking to have a career change or looking for a career in the first place, maybe they haven't really started on one. In the space of 6 weeks, you can achieve 2 credentials and go to work.
And this is a big, I don't want to say job creator necessarily, but logistics and transportation is a significant area of the economy for New Jersey.
Absolutely, particularly in this area. This is one of the areas where we don't even have to create the jobs. The jobs are there, and that's why we were approached. The jobs are there. There are not enough trained CDL operators to drive the trucks and fill the employment career path in warehousing and logistics, as you said, supply chain management, scheduling, dock services, all of that is involved in that industry. It's a wonderful way to get involved at the ground level.
How does something like this kind of get off the ground? I mean, we're a college, so people think, oh, you earn a degree, you go for art or business. People don't think of commercial truck driving as a possibility here.
Absolutely. Well, for those schools that have a division of continuing education or corporate training, that is our mission. We go out into the community to find out what our community needs. Where are there jobs? Where do we need skilled workers? Where do we have businesses who have training needs in order to remain competitive? So if you need to get a job, you want to stay in a job, you want to improve your career path while you're working, that's our division. So you start with a conversation, you go out into the community, and you listen and you ask questions. And then you have opportunities like this that present themselves and they seem to become natural fits.
Are any other opportunities on the horizon or anything else?
We actually have a few. We have a number of them. And actually we're expanding some of the programs that we already have. We're looking at expanding some of our programs at the Chiarco Learning Center. And some bilingual, national, international programming. We're also looking at working with some programs that are going to articulate from the non-credit area in our continuing education division into the credit area.
Into a degree.
Exactly. So once you've taken this, you've gotten a job, you have some funds, you're supporting your family, you're supporting yourself. When it's time for you and it's right in your life to move on to a credit degree if you so desire, you've already got some basis and foundation to be able to apply to that particular program.
Interesting stuff. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Coming up after a short break, we'll take a look at all the other news that's coming from Bergen Community College last month. We'll be right back.
7,000 students drop out every school day. That's a line of desks more than 4 miles long. Keep students in school. Visit boostup.org and take the first step.
Welcome back to Studio Bergen. I'm Larry Levanka. After a snowstorm nixed the inaugural Athletic Alumni Appreciation Night sponsored by the Athletic Department, the Office of Alumni Affairs, and the Office of Student Affairs, skies cleared for the rescheduled date of February 6th. Once on campus, alums from every decade were treated to an evening of hoops by Bergen's current hardcourt heroes. Past stars such as Michelle Mickey Hayes, class of 2011, an honors graduate, returned as the guest of honor. She reflected on her time at Bergen.
Everybody was so involved and it felt like home almost to me. So, I mean, I'm at a college now and I just still don't get that Bergen feel, so I really miss it.
Hayes led the nation in rebounding during her last year at Bergen, notching more than 19 per game. Staying on the sports page, students faced off against faculty and staff in a friendly volleyball game January 30th. Perhaps it comes as no surprise, but the younger, more limber students came away victorious. Maybe I'll have to play in order to bring the title back to the faculty and staff next time. With 100 days to the college's biggest event of the year, commencement, Bergen officials took the opportunity to celebrate the milestone for the class of 2014. The college unveiled a countdown clock in the Student Center at the main campus February 11th that will ultimately reach zero May 22nd at 7 p.m. At the countdown unveiling, students found treats and a festive atmosphere recognizing their coming accomplishment. Vice President of Student Affairs, Dr. Nadine Gonzalez de Jesus, said the event sets the commencement season in motion.
This is a time for them to really enjoy all of their stresses, all of the things that they've been through the entire 2 years at Bergen. This is their accomplishment, and we as a college community are so proud of them. We want them to understand that not everyone attends college, and it's not just attending college, it's completing a college education. That's what matters.
Also last month, Taking Pleasure, a curated mixed media exhibition of sculptures and paintings by 5 regional artists, went up in Gallery Bergen, the college's art exhibition space. The concept of the exhibition resists beauty in the conventional sense, using materials such as resin, paint chips, spray paint, and acetate to compose the art. It will be on view through March 26th. I suppose you could call the topic of our next story art as well. As the signature piece of the Shops at Riverside and the Hackensack Regional Chamber of Commerce Super Saturday at the Shops, February 1st, Toasty the Marshmallow Snowman took shape as visitors placed 11,000 marshmallows donated by Insera Supermarkets, Inc. on the frame constructed by Bergen professor Mark Balzeret and students Brian Giraldo and Chris Sakalaris. For $1, visitors placed marshmallows on Toasty in the hopes of establishing the record-setter world record for the largest marshmallow snowman. Donations benefited Hackensack's YCS Holly Child Care and Development Center and the Hackensack High School Band. Balzeret became connected with the project through the school's Division of Continuing Education, Corporate and Public Sector Training, which offered the college's assistance to the Hackensack Chamber. In less than a week, Balzeret designed the plans for the signature snowman in AutoCAD, a computer design program, and gathered the necessary materials: PVC, plywood, poultry wire, burlap, and plaster. In 60 hours of work, with another 30 from the students, Balzeret constructed the key components to the structure: 3 plywood globes making up the snowman's body, a base, and a PVC pole supporting the assembled project. On a more serious note, unfortunately, due to the increased demand, the college's food pantry shelves have become nearly bare. As the college's health officer, Barbara Buff, explained, many may not realize the suffering going on in our own backyards.
The need is absolutely there, and you're absolutely right. I have learned so much by being here with the personal counselors about what really is happening to our students that it's mind-boggling.
To help the food pantry, please bring canned and boxed goods, infant formula, other non-perishables, cash, or grocery cards to HS 100 at the college's main campus. If you are in need of assistance, consultations are free and confidential. Turning our attention to the campus calendar, author and journalist Evelyn McDonnell will visit as the keynote speaker for Women's History Month Thursday, March 6th at 1:45 in the Anna Maria Saccone Theater. The next night, the Irish rock band Black 47 will play the theater at 7:30 p.m. For tickets, visit tickets.bergen.edu. The rock theme will continue Tuesday, March 11th, when Doors drummer John Densmore will sit down for a conversation with Professor Andy Cricken at 7:30 in the theater. Finally, the college's faculty will host Real-Time Electronica, a celebration of the pioneers of electronic music, Thursday, March 13th at 7:30 p.m. in the theater as well. In our Student Success Spotlight segment this month, we welcome student Fatima Villanueva, who's doing some really interesting stuff with game design. Fatima, welcome.
Thank you for having me here, Larry.
No problem. We've talked before, and I was just amazed by some of the stuff you're doing. So why don't you tell me and tell the viewers a little bit about how this is going for you?
Okay, first of all, I got into game development by this awesome program called Code Liberation. It started off in New York, and it's founded by Phoenix Perry and Nina Freeman, along with Kat Small and Jane Friedhoff. And they made this initiative for women because they believe that there's barely any programmers, video game programmers out there that are women.
It's a boys' club, huh?
Yeah, exactly. It's a boys' club, and we need more women to be represented in video games because, as you can tell, most video games depict women in a very, very, like, I guess, demeaning way for most parts, especially in AAA games. You can just look at Ninja Gaiden and you see things that are like, abnormally, abnormally, like,
proportioned.
Not proportionate, yeah, exactly. And I started off there, and I took their introduction to C++ programming over the summer, and I realized that I love programming, and I never knew that my playing video games and making video games could possibly be a career. So at first, I was looking into computer science before that, but I never really delved into video games as a possible career choice. And then afterwards, I just kind of started thinking, okay, I'm going to make games. And I started.
And you are making one right now. That's really neat. Tell us about that.
I am making a game about homelessness. So you're a person who is playing, you're a character who is homeless, and you have to go through the streets of New York to face face obstacles that homeless people usually venture out towards you. And that's like, my whole goal is to strike empathy for people, because people don't usually see homeless people in a way that you'd want to see them. You'd see them as just like people who are beggars or people who are just kind of like mooching off of you. But these people have their own stories, you know? And that's what I'm trying to do, is just not necessarily just like represent homeless people, but also to strike empathy for people. And kind of
in a new medium, though. I mean, typically video games are not socially conscious. Typically, we're looking at something ridiculous like Grand Theft Auto or Madden, or a sports game. You don't see many games that are of this genre, let's say.
Yeah, I won a scholarship recently for Games for Social Good, and that's where it kind of like sparked everything. Like, holy snap! Like, this is all possible. And that's when I realized that there are other people who are making these games too, and they're so underrepresented because because of like the other games that are being brought up. But as years continue to go on, I believe that we can apply video games to things such as social issues or medicine. This one girl, she developed an app where you can actually predict or try to analyze which disease the person has as they enter the ER.
Wow.
And that's good for people who are practicing medicine or going into medical school. They can use that app to figure out what kind of disease this is.
So are we going to see an app or a game from you on maybe an iDevice or an Android device, or maybe even on a GameStop shelf someday?
I plan on developing it for Steam and creating it for PC. So right now I'm choosing the Unreal Development Engine. I guess that's pretty much it. I want to develop a PC game because I feel that its engine supports the first-person shooter game that I want to have.
All right, well, very interesting stuff. Fatima, thanks for coming by.
Thank you.
And that wraps up this edition of Studio Bergen. I'm Larry Levanka for Bergen Community College. Thanks, and take care.